Hello and welcome to All the King's Men. So this is a show where we have give the men a platform. We already talk to the ladies. We already learn from the ladies. We already give the ladies a platform. We want to hear from the men. We want the men to speak to us. And today I have a very, very, very exciting young man named Alex Dumas. And when you hear what he does and what he offers and what he brings to the table, you will be impressed, you'll be amazed, and you'll be inspired. But I'm going to allow him to come and introduce himself to us and take us on the journey of who he is. Hi,
Hey, yeah.
Mr. Alex Dumas. Thank you for joining All the Kings. So the platform where you get to speak and share with us, with the women, with the men, all about what you do, all about, where we can take ourselves in our personal lives, our business, and just to be an inspiration to us. So I'm going to allow you to share who Alex Dumas is.
Wow, appreciate it. Thank you, Millicent, first of all, for inviting me to your show. And I'm really excited to talk to the kings out there and even their queens, right? This is a open discussion, dialogue for everybody. So as you mentioned, I'm Alex Dumas. I am a coach, I'm a speaker, author, and those things can seem impressive and like amazing and like, oh my goodness, how did you do that? I want to preface this with that it wasn't always like this. I had to build, I had to create this, I had to put different things in my life and remove certain things out of my life to make space for this because as a king now, as a champion, as I create myself to be, I wasn't that at the start. I grew up in New York. I'm the youngest of four kids. My parents are immigrated from Haiti, and we had a pretty standard, good middle class life, right? Barbecues, football games, riding bikes, all that kind of stuff was fun. I would find myself in a space where I just never felt like I fit in anywhere. I never felt like I belonged anywhere, even at home. I was just disconnected. There was just something always off, and I don't know if it was my own internal chemistry or whatever it is, but every step of the way, I always just thought this something doesn't make sense. Something's not right. And I remember this one incident that happened. This is the incident that really set things in motion. I was 5 or 6. I'm going about my day, just frolicking through the house, doing whatever kids do. And I happened to notice this family portrait of mine, right? So it's my mother, my father, my older sister, my two older brothers. Now, for anybody listening and watching, you heard me say before I was the youngest of four. I only see 3 kids. And I make an immediate conclusion that, oh, I'm not here. Like, yes, I'm not here in this picture, but I'm not here in the grand picture of belonging in the family. I don't exist. I'm not important. When in reality, right, I created a truth, but the facts were I just wasn't born yet. It wasn't like, oh my goodness, they left me in the baby seat and they took a picture without me, right? I wasn't I didn't exist yet, but I made that story to be I don't exist permanently,
Right. Wow.
and I operated from that space, and I I found ways to mask that pain. It's an interesting paradox. I felt rejected. I felt like I didn't belong, and I would collect evidence. I would collect evidence amongst my other family members of being kind of awkward and not belonging here. Schools I was in, I didn't really. I was a popular kid. I had friends, but I didn't really deeply connect with anybody, right? And even in my own community, so I'm going to private Catholic schools, and my friends going to public schools. So I'm like the preppy kid, and they're wearing Tims and they're wearing jeans, and they have bubble jackets on. And I have a tie and like polo shirt. So it's just the physical divide right there. And I wound up using humor as a mask, as a way to get accepted. If I got attention by being crazy, by being wild, by doing all sorts of crazy things and being silly, never being serious, then people would like me, they would accept me. That was my rationale for it. Being a class clown. Who doesn't love a class clown, right? Well, as you get older, being a class clown, like the cuteness of it wears off.
Yes.
And I started to find other things. Yeah, I found sports, and then decided, what, sports wasn't good enough for me. At least play football. I liked smoking better. I like smoking weed. I like smoking cigarettes. I like stealing. I like taking things from people so I could fund this habit, this addiction of mine. And that started in my early teens and went into early adulthood. And it wasn't really till things didn't really turn around until I met my wife in late 2005. We started dating 2000, early 2006, and we've been together ever since. And we've been married for 14 years, have these kids. There's a whole lot of the story that I'm not sharing right now. It's just there's not enough time for that. But I'm walking people through this journey so that they can understand, like, wow, this person who felt isolated, who felt insignificant, who felt invisible, turn things around with starting to work on himself, work on my mindset, work on my development. Really start to ask myself better questions of, well, what is possible for me? Well, what if I could do that? What do I want to create? Versus the questions I was asking for so many years of, why is life like this? Why is this happening to me? Why can't they be different? Why can't they change? Why me?
Right.
Victim instead of being an owner of my life and my circumstances. And 2016, I found this thing called coaching. It's like,
Yes. The wonderful word.
it's changed my life because I see this as the ultimate cheat code. Like, the better I get, the more I up level my mentality and my habits and my behaviors, and I help clients do that. Like, I actually benefit from what they do too, from challenging them, challenging their way of thinking. I have to challenge my own way of thinking. I have to be open to those possibilities too, and have those tough discussions and have those conversations that you walk away like, oh, I hate that guy or I hate that lady, like, talking about my coach, and then take a breather, hindsight. Okay, they were right. What's the truth in here? What's the gold that they actually showed in here? So that's me in a nutshell. That's that's a lot for some folks. I just wanted to kick it off that way because I want to really just set the table that what you see here before you, this is a constant work in progress, and there's been so much work that I've done on myself, for myself, with myself, that I don't want you to get caught up in thinking like, oh, it's just natural for him. Like, no, it's not natural. I had to work at this.
Yeah. And the thing is that when you were saying, I'm the oldest of five. So I was the one that had to be responsible. I was the one that was seen all
Mm,
the time. So I wanted to hide. And I just didn't want to be in that place anymore. I didn't want to be the responsible one. So it was
mm,
the opposite. And it's like I was always the good girl. So I had to try to
mm,
figure, like, to not to be seen to be bad, but I had to be I want to fall back, be bad, so I can fall out of that role. And it was so remarkable when you was talking about that, because it's when you're on two different ends of the spectrum. You really it's crazy because you think, oh, the younger ones are spoiled, they get the most attention, and then the older ones, we have the responsibility and we have to take on things we don't want to take on. But when you said that story and what you shared with us, that was so powerful, because a lot of times when you're not in the shoes, in birth order, you're not in that particular, the shoes of that particular sibling, you really
mm,
don't get it. And now I have a deep understanding of what my youngest sister goes through and what she may feel. And it is really, really deep. And you have to be strong, like you were saying, that mindset, to pull yourself out of that, to be able to find that resilience in yourself, to be able to build and to work on that, to become what you desire to be, which you
yeah,
have done that work. And that's the thing we want to hear. Don't think about where you started and use that as an excuse not to get to where you're trying to be.
yeah,
And that man, thank you for sharing it. That was really, really a deep story. And you have to tell your story, like you said, to get to, so that we can understand the fruits of your labor. And you're still remarkable though. I saw your website. I saw the things you do. But it was very, very, very impressive. But that's the good thing, is that those obstacles and that mindset you might have had back then, and just trying to find yourself. If you keep going and you don't give up, you follow your heart, you follow your dreams.
Yeah.
you know, and not that you're not still working and perfecting those things, because we always do, but to see you now is a true blessing. And thank
Yeah.
you for sharing it, because yeah, I was just, when you were saying that, I never even considered the fact that the younger siblings are not in the picture. In a lot of pictures, and when I was younger, it's just me. How did that make them feel? Not
Right.
wanted, not a part. So thank you for sharing that.
No, no, you're
So
welcome.
I wanted to, that was that, trying to get back on track, because that was so deep. And that's so important when you have a business. A lot of times people try to bypass the mindset. It's so important to get that together to be successful, because you're
Yeah.
carrying so much with you. It's going to interfere. But speaking of mindset, can you share, how does mindset flow into what you do? And first, let's talk about what it is that you do. As far as I
Okay.
know, you are a business executive coach.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
does that consist of?
Yeah. For me, that consists of working with leaders of color. Specifically, that's who I'm specifically primarily open to working with, and I include other races. I've worked with, white men, white women. I'm not against that, but I really see coaching as a space for not to separate from therapy with the healing aspect, but to help these young brothers heal themselves on their journey, and really start to express themselves. And you said an important word about my website and social media presence that is impressive, and thank you. I received that, and that's only coming from a place for me with this deep desire to express myself fully into the world, to be authentic. And the work I do with these executive men is getting to the root, and this is going to tie into the mindset, right? Tie into their inspirations. What's driving them? Are they, a lot of time it's looking at creating multi-generational impact. It's looking at creating financial freedom. And underneath that, the real layers that, as soon as we start to excavate them, is releasing the pressure of having to be perfect, right?
Yes,
Especially in this country, United States. Uh, we've had a raw deal, we've had an unfair shake, and to get even just sometimes to average status, you have to be remarkable. Just you have to be the creme de la creme to even get a shot sometimes. And I want to help them see that, yeah, have a high standard of excellence, right? Don't lose that, but don't tie a title or an accomplishment to who you are, right? Who you're becoming, who you're being. And that's a big part of the work that I do with folks.
that's good, because that's for women too. Is when you're saying that, that's what we tend to do, and I've
Mm.
seen that in this area. Like you said, showing up on social media, or showing up, on your website, in that sense, but
Mm.
just attaching accomplishments from tasks to us as well. And I see how that can, filter into our mindset, thinking that, oh, because I've done this, I'm this, and
Yeah,
not looking at the whole picture, of striving, that, you could be proud of that, but that's not a catch all. And in
yeah,
this industry, I always talk about your personal brand, showing up, but it's more to it than that. And that's why I know that mindset, like you were saying, is the foundation. It's
yeah,
really the foundation, and especially in this day and time, I do feel that with social media, and with how we deliver, in society now, there is a little bit of leverage for us, especially people of color, to have an opportunity to be seen, to talk, to,
mm,
share our voices. It's still difficult though, and when you have individuals that have been there, and they do see, and they have done that, and to be able to say, hey, I want to go and get, another woman, or another king, and bring them to the surface so that they can be successful. That's the beauty, because now we can really we got a visual picture. Before it was we were lost out there. Now it still happened without social media.
Mm.
You ever wonder how we live without social media? But it still happened out there, slowly, but it did. But now we have, we can grab a hold to them a lot quicker, a little easier, so that we can make some things happen. So yeah, I hear what you're saying. A lot of things have changed, but we still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
That support is very important. And it was something that you said that I wrote down, that I know it's three things that you said. You were born to live life in abundance.
Yeah.
And can you give us a little bit of that? I'm going to do the other two, but I want you to kind of expound on all three, because this is your quotes, and
Yeah.
this is significant because it was written on your, in your information, and anytime that something is written in your information, it has a significant point, and I just want you to share.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Those, we'll start with this first sentence. These things are a part of like my core values. I'm a man of faith. I believe in God, and God being the master creator. You can call him universe, spirit, source, Gus for short. If you're like, I don't want to go into all that. For me, it's God, right? That's my higher power. Uh, God being the master creator, he made us different from all the other creatures and insects and whatever else that is out there, right? He made us specifically in his image. So for me, I read it as, all right, him being the master creator, I have creativity in my blood. I have abundance in my blood. It's my birthright. Now, just because it's my birthright doesn't mean I necessarily deserve it. I have to actually take steps. I have to take, he's ordered the steps. I have to take the steps and meet him halfway to receive the blessings. So they say in the book, right? Faith without actions is dead. I
Yes.
believe in that, right? I've been given this ability to speak, to communicate, to express, to mobilize people, to make people, to help enhance people's lives. And
Yes.
I believe that we're all like, this is what we were here to do. We're here to have abundance. Like there's more than enough for all of us. My name of my company, like, that started off as Abundance Daily, because I wanted to have that mindset of like, what's available to me always? Abundance. Abundance is around me everywhere I go, anywhere I look. Right. I saw this great interview with Eddie Griffin. It was from years ago, and he was talking about, God's right there, and God's right here. Like God's everywhere. Like look at that person right there. That's abundance. And I was like, he got it. He sees it, and that's what I see too.
Yeah. And that's why when you wrote this, I was like, yeah, I can see how that ties into, which, your brain, what you're saying. And when you are born to live in abundance, and like you said, that is our birthright. We have to walk in
Yeah.
that thing. Now you
Yes.
say you are the master of your future and freedom,
Yeah.
and that's that liberty that God gives us to
Yeah.
be able to master our future and that freedom. So can you share on that?
Yeah. I mean, for me, the future is created from right now, right? Like everything past and future is actually molded right here in the present. So I have dominion over that. I control how free I feel or what I experience. I set the course. Now, yes, there's going to be some things that potentially knock me off that course, but I have the ability to navigate that. I put the responsibility on me no matter what happens, right? Somebody hits my car. Okay. Yes, it wasn't my fault, but I don't want to put myself in a position of disempowering myself.
Yeah.
And it's not a victim blame, it's not gaslighting myself, it's not shaming myself. It's just like, all right, how did I contribute to this? How did I show up in this space? What was my role in this? And that, and I get it. For some people, there's some horrific things that happen that are not your fault. And I'm not saying that, but I also want, what I'm saying is I want to take responsibility for my response and my reaction to that.
And years ago, I used to hear counselors, pastors, teachers talk about the art of forgiving yourself. And
Mm,
they say, "Did you forgive yourself?" I'm like, "Forgive myself for what? I didn't do it. I was offended. They did this to me." They said, "It's not for them, it's for you." So that's
yes.
that power you take back. I'm empowering myself. So I have to forgive myself, even though I didn't perpetrate, but
Right.
this is for me. So that is so profound. A lot of
Mm,
times we don't really. I didn't understand that growing up. I was bitter and mad when someone told me that, because I'm like, apologize for what? So I felt like, oh, and now it's my fault, but I didn't understand that it was just about taking back ownership of what may have been taken from me.
yeah.
I forgive myself, and I forgive myself for, like you said, how I reacted. I forgive myself. I'm moving on. I'm even forgiving myself for allowing that situation to take me under. So
Yes.
never, ever, ever underestimate the power of forgiveness. And when they say that forgiveness is freeing, it's freeing for you. Forgive yourself.
Yeah.
That it don't matter what nobody else done. It's like, you know what? I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I even allowed this situation to get to me. I forgive me. I forgive you. I'm moving on. It once you get used to doing it, it's not as difficult as it may seem. But
Yeah.
when I was younger and they told me that, I was not trying to hear that. I was not trying to be responsible in that area because I was hurt. A lot of things
Yeah.
really hurt me in life. So a lot of things that really, really hurt you in life can be really deep.
Yeah.
You still got to take that power back, and you just got to, you don't want to live, because if you keep having that hovering over your head, it's stopping you from taking things to the next level for yourself. It may not seem like it, but it is.
Yeah.
So
I did this exercise. I do student ministry at my church with some middle schoolers and high school boys, right? And I had one of the boys were talking about the situation now. He was having a hard time forgiving somebody for something. And I invited him to grab these two water bottles. Like they were full, almost gallon full. I just had him keep your arms out like this and hold them. Just hold them. See how long you can hold them. And like he's struggling. Like after a minute or so, I was like, "What's that feel like?" Oh, it didn't feel good. Like my arm started to burn. It's like that's what carrying resentment, carrying judgments. That's what carrying.
mm,
That's what happens when you don't release. Right? You're carrying around. You're the one hurting. You're burning, and this other person's enjoying their life. They're walking around, right? It's like the same analogy as like drinking poison and expecting that other person to die. It's like, why
exactly.
carry that?
Yeah. That's good. I pray y'all catching this. I pray y'all catching this. It was going to be about business and things and entrepreneurship, but this is about some
Yeah.
practical life experiences and some things to empower you so that you are successful in life. You want to be successful in all things. So
Yeah.
we want to be successful, not just in business, because I mean, if you're successful in business, anybody can be successful in business, but if you're not satisfied here,
Yeah.
and these are some heart things that we're talking about. And it says you have complete dominance. Because you have complete dominance over your thoughts, emotions, and habits. And that kind of led into that
Yeah.
part. And expound on that.
Yeah. We're gonna have all these thoughts that fly in our heads, right? Most of them are gonna be negative, right? There's just studies show that. But when I say dominance, I feel like I have dominance of control of like what I think about, of how I act, how I respond to that, what do I create from that. So if I know that, if I can embody that, then it puts me in a position of ownership. That puts me in a position of power, not over other people, but recognize it for myself. All right, I can choose, and this is the other portion of like the life of abundance, right? Of how we're made in God's image. He gave us choice, right? If I was a bird and there was some kind of catastrophic event going on, some nuclear event going on during the winter, and my job is to fly south. That bird doesn't have a choice to turn around. It's going into that thing. Me as a human, oh, something's going on. Like, oh, I'm going the other way. That's a simple choice.
Right.
Why wouldn't I make that choice for myself? Man, my life's going bad. I'm thinking all the wrong things. Uh, the results that I want are not being produced. That starts from thoughts, and yes, this is all tied into business because how many people have worked with somebody who has been out of control? Who's ever
Yes.
had somebody in their workspace who's just blame gaming, negative Nancy, negative Ned, right? Keep it gender equality right here, right? Who's been there with somebody who's been scarcity minded, whose only thought has been, how can I get to the top and make sure that you don't get there before me? I'll cut your throat to get to the top.
Yes.
It all applies.
It does. It does. And that's that again, releasing that freedom and empowerment to someone else. With that power, not empowerment, but that power, releasing
Yeah.
that to someone else. Not understand that we do have that dominance. We do have that dominion, and we have to utilize that. I just hope that those who are thinking about entrepreneurship, those who are in entrepreneurship, will really see that having that foundation and having that mind set, having that heart,
Yeah.
reset, all of those things. You want to go, you want to be successful, you want to feel good. It's just like if you don't feel good, it's just like going to work and every day, like, and dealing with knuckleheads, and you really don't want to be there. You don't make it good. If you're gonna tap into this world, make sure that you feel good, make sure that you're good. That's why the quotes and everything that you shared is so important. And I thought we were going to talk more in one area, but I'm like, man, right here was so important. I'm telling you, it's healing. It's healing, and it's 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 refreshing. That's what it is. It's healing
Yeah.
and it's refreshing. And not to say anything against men, but it's healing and refreshing that a young man, a gentleman, will come on the platform and share with us these words that apply to not just men but to women as well, that we can take, because we women, we are very emotional. We have a lot of
Yeah.
baggage. We feel a lot of different things and we carry it, so this is very, very, very good, and it's very empowering for us to grab a hold to what you're saying as well. um, I know that men, they hide a lot, they carry a lot, but they also hide it. We don't hide, we wear it on our sleeve. But at the same time, I don't want, just because it's men, I don't want us to miss the message, not
Yeah.
paying attention to what you're saying. So thank you for that.
No,
And
you're
I
welcome.
want to talk next. I really want to talk about your journey as an author. What do you have out? What books? What was your inspiration? Taking that journey as an author.
Yeah. Thank you. So my journey as an author, I mean, it started at birth. I'm named after the author Alex Dumas. Like that's my birth name. That's my name. So it's was kind of almost destined that at some point I was going to write, and I love writing as a kid. My favorite subjects in school were English, social studies, history. So I was just always fascinated with how did this happen and why did this happen and how did this one event maybe 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago affect what's happening today in real time. And I've just always been curious. So I love poetry. I love hip hop, rap. I grew up in, like I said, in New York. So right when this golden age of hip hop was exploding, my older brothers, my sister were listening to stuff I shouldn't have been listening to, but that's the way it was. And I was just fascinated with words. And for for many years I thought about writing, but never committed to anything. Just it was just kind of in passing. I would scribble things in notebooks, this and that. Early this year, this gentleman reached out to me, and this is God's work, right? It's all in His timing. And he reached out to me, and I thought it was a spam message. He sent a Facebook message to me, and I was about to delete it. And for whatever reason, I usually delete these things when it's like, "Hey, Alex," right?
Yeah, right.
You kind of see the first few words like that, the thumbnail of it. You're like,
Yeah.
here we go. But for whatever reason, I I decided to open this message and I started reading through it. I'm like, huh, this might be some, I might be able to do this. Right? That's all I need. Just a little seed. I just needed just that little possibility to live into. I connected with him and he invited me to this opportunity to co-author a multi-author book. And I thought to myself, all right, let's go for it. I have this 5,000 word limit, and the book theme is called The Power of Self-Discovery. So I think to myself, all right, let me write about my life. This has been a journey, and as I'm growing and as I've been developing my keynote over the last couple years, I would like something that was going to complement my talk, that's going to open up opportunities for newer business. So, right, strategic, but it was an emotional process because I'm writing about my life. I'm writing about things that I haven't necessarily been comfortable expressing. Right, there's still that little 5-year old, 6-year old Alex inside of here who's like, man, your voice doesn't matter. You're invisible. You don't exist. You're not here. And I gotta remember that I'm big Alex. Like I've done this work. I've made an impact on people. I've got this beautiful family. I have things in my life that are real evidence to counteract all these limiting, disempowering thoughts I have. And I just went to writing. It was quite a process, but it was a healing process as well. And that book is going to be released at the end of September this year. And I'll have my, you can attach author to my name, which is, is an accomplishment for me. And more so than just the title of it, but just knowing that I did something that most people have thought about or would like to do, but that's the separator. What I think about and then what I actually do. That's the gap for me. My life is about closing that gap. I think it, I do it.
Right.
I am the person who doesn't hesitate. I am going to be that person that I take immediate action on what inspires me. And I'm excited about that. The title of the my chapter is called "Everybody Wins, Including Me," and that's something I had to think about, right? Because I would champion other people. I'm so great at making sure other people are supported, they feel good, that I champion them, and I have to remember, like, oh yeah, I'm a part of everybody too.
And, you know,
It's not it's
sometimes
not this everybody out there. It's like I'm part of everybody too. So yeah, we all win.
you forget that sometimes because you feel like I'm always supporting, I'm always pushing, I'm always, you know,
Yeah,
and then you don't realize that you're connected to them. So if they
yeah,
win, you win. But sometimes the labor of it, you just feel like, oh my goodness, I'm always doing something for someone, always
yeah,
supporting, you know. But that's the right, see, the right attitude. You have been displaying the thoughts and the attitudes that we should have on this journey. So I just really pray that, you know, we take heed to that. Take heed. You
yeah,
gotta have the right attitude. You got to be in the right space, headspace, to really be able to embrace all of this. This is a lot. This is a lot.
yes,
Now, talking about your keynote. Now, I know you was talking about the book and preparing a keynote. So you're a keynote speaker. So share with us, you know, about your journey as a speaker, because this is all kind of just all of this ties into each other, and I would encourage others who are trying to come into this area, you know, that's seeking out entrepreneurship in this area, how important it is to be able to share your story. And if you don't know how to share your story, get with someone that can support you. Your story is golden. You don't realize the power behind your story. So on that note,
yeah, sure. That's probably one of the biggest things that I've had to embrace is recognize, like, oh yes, my story matters, my voice matters, and my keynote is called "The Win-Win Communicator: A New Way for Leaders to Listen," and it goes into these emotional aspects of communication, of listening, not necessarily tips and techniques of, like, actively listen here and this is what you do here. And it's really looking at where are you coming from as a listener, like what place are you coming from, so that as we started off this conversation, I shared with you my journey, as a young boy into my teens and the different challenges and the struggles I had. Well, I was communicating from a place where my filter was I'm not important. I don't exist. So anything positive, right? Someone would be like, Alex, you're amazing. No, I'm not. I don't exist. I didn't say that to them, but that's what I heard. That these things would fly over me. I couldn't I couldn't receive it. I can't tell you how ineffective. I don't know if there's enough time in the world for me to tell you how ineffective that is for your life. I don't want to say that's right or wrong, that's good or bad. I don't want to judge it. It doesn't matter what it is. It just wasn't effective for my life,
Right.
right? And then looking at leadership, collaboration, the times that I've thrived, the times that I've been able to create massive global impact have been when I've worked with other people, have been when I've been able to leverage their gifts and bring my best gifts to the table too. It's not manipulating, it's not using people, it's not exploiting people. It's just putting people in the right position to do the thing. So a big piece of my keynote, this theme I talk about is building a bigger bubble of influence, a bigger bubble of impact, a big vision, a big dream, right? For you watching, what's your big dream? What's the big thing that you think could change the world? And then how do you get people enrolled into it? Because that's what leads movements, right? You think about Martin Luther King Jr., he didn't have a plan, he had a dream. People followed the dream. Yes, he took actions, yes, he strategized afterwards, but people locked onto, wait, what is that thing he said? You have a dream. I have a dream like that too, right? He's speaking to me.
Right.
So, you as a communicator, what is that message? What is that thing you're sharing to the world that people are like, I'm on board with that. I'm following this man, I'm following this woman, and we're going to the promised land.
Yeah.
So, these are the parts of my keynote where it's my life story, but it's also your story too.
Yes. And the thing is, you're international as well. So it's so many different audience, so many different situations, so many different scenarios, so many different, so many others different, their different stories and how that one story resonate with so many.
Yeah.
And you don't realize that you go through things in life and you're like, why me? But you realize it later on, like they said, you'll understand it by and by that story and how across the globe how that story resonate with people, and that's the feeling that you get when you know that God is using you. You feel that you are in the right place and you are in the right space at the right time.
Yeah. It's these universal emotions we all love, we all hate at times, we all fear, we all are full of joy and bliss and curiosity and wonderment and surprise, shock. Like all these things are inside of us. We're all connected.
And it's funny because when I was younger, I was a grown woman when I was thinking these thoughts, but I always thought that if you weren't in my particular bubble, like you were saying, the bubble,
Hmm.
that we were different. I
Yeah.
didn't consider the fact that maybe because they're across the ocean, that they kind of feel like I feel. I don't care where they lived. So what ended up happening, one of my best friends, I met her in our adult life, and she's from Liberia. And when we come together and created the relationship we have like sisters, it was so many different similarities. But in my naive mind and not really understanding the global connection, I was shocked when she enjoyed some of the things I enjoy. I don't know where this come from. When you I'm just being honest, when you don't know, you don't know. And when she was experiencing some of the things I was experiencing, I'm like, oh, I don't know what's going on with me to think that because they weren't in my bubble at this time that their life was just so much different. We couldn't relate, or there was no connection. But
Yeah.
like you said, we all feel, we all have pain, we all have joy, we all love, we all
Yeah.
have different experiences, aspirations. We all want to grow. So yes, I and like I said, that's a transparent moment. Probably one of your
Yeah.
transparent dumb moments. I just really was shocked when we were sharing things, and I'm like, oh, so y'all do that over there? But I've learned so much about that. But that's the truth, and it's that's why sometimes when you feel like that and you think, oh, my thoughts are just so crazy. We all had crazy thoughts, you know. So just
Yeah.
past that, we learning here. So can you share about your services and how someone who may be interested? You work primarily with men.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting thing because as I would say advertise that or put that into the space, a lot of women I've worked with me, and I think a part of that is just my own demeanor and energy. I'm not a like bro, go get him guy. Like I'm confident in myself. I know where I stand. I'm devoted to my wife, so there's never any type of conflicts like that.
Right,
And my heart is just devoted to service. I'm really looking
right.
at anybody who's in front of me is like, where's that champion inside of them, right? Where's the king? Where's the queen inside of them? And the ways that I work with people are, well, three ways really, but two primarily I focus on right now is one-on-one with coaching. So either for 3 months in my program called Activate, or 6 months what I call Ascension. And these are two different opportunities, so to speak. And my wife and I are collaborating for a 4 month group experience that we're calling Brand Amplifier. And I'm
Okay.
really excited about that. That's going to be that's starting in September of this year. And it involves an in-person experience in North Carolina where we are, where we're going to interview them in a beautiful professional studio, where we're going to capture some speaker reels. We're going to train people on telling their story and
Yes.
leveraging the stage to amplify their voice. And I see that, no matter what background, race you come from, if you have a desire to share and you have a message that's impactful and that's worth hearing, I would love to be a part of helping shape that, craft that, and helping you create something that is beautiful on film, that gives you confidence. Because that's what my experience has been over the last year. As I went through that a similar thing where I got some headshots done, I got all these fancy things done, but you show up in a different way. People
Yes.
listen to you in a different way when they see a beautiful headshot versus like kind of like a selfie thing, kind of a grainy, granular thing. It's different, right? And you
Yes.
get to show up with more authority, and you actually have some things behind you. This is really geared toward people who are speakers or are looking to become speakers. So these are the three offerings. So Activate, Ascension, Brand Amplifier, and at the end of the day, all three of those things are looking to do one thing: help you express who you really are to the world.
Yes.
And that's the gift that everybody can receive.
That's good. That's real good. Now I see that you have the is that the VIPOCCC.org? Is that the
Oh,
program?
oh, oh, oh no. Well, the BIPOCCC.org, that's that's an organization I co-lead. That is separate from my private
Okay.
practice. Yeah, BIPOC Coach Collective is uh, it's just this beautiful community of coaches of color from around the world. And our purpose is really just curating a brave and authentic spaces for coaches to elevate their voices, to grow their businesses, to
Mm,
advance professionally in this profession. Because there's been so much underrepresentation of the global majority in this coaching profession. And the question years ago that our founder, her name is Reed Labib Tyson, she thought, well, there's more of us out there. Like, where are we? And she started mobilizing them, and I got involved with it and helped her start building it. And then last year, myself, her, and two of our other partners, we launched this as a membership model, and people have responded. They're joining every month. And we, right before we're having this conversation, me and the team had a virtual retreat as we're planning for the next year, next 2 years, honestly. And I'm just excited about that. I don't want to call it a pet project. It's just an extension of who I am and what I do already.
So very good, and that goes to show that coaches need coaching and coaches need support. So just because
Yeah.
you're starting out as a coach, don't never feel that you don't need support, you don't need uplifting, and you don't need knowledge. We always growing, just like when you were saying about these speakers, the speaking opportunity and the opportunity to come and be interviewed professionally, to have the different reels, to show
Yeah.
up, to show up professionally so that you're taken serious. So that program, definitely we want to make sure that when you get ready or whatever, is, and even with the book, want to make sure that that's out, and we're supporting that and promoting that as well on the platform, because I've run into a lot of different speakers that offer different programs.
Yeah.
And I will say this, and this is not knocking anybody's program, but I just believe that it sometimes could just be too formal. They want to know who you are. They don't want a
Mm.
whole, list of something on Facebook that just says, oh, and this, and we offer this, and we offer click down and some more stuff. We want an authentic situation. We want an authentic experience. This is what we're going to do. This is what you're going to get. We're going to show up, and we're going to build, and we're going to grow. That's the game changer now. They're moving away
Yeah.
from all the the reading and stipulations and the introductions of things. We just got to kind of scroll down and see. We want to know who we work with. We want hands on. We want to hear
Mm.
voices. So that is going to be great, and definitely want to share that on our platform. We could take advantage of that and see how that can benefit us. I'm a speaker. There's so many different things, and starting out with branding and that
Yeah.
support with branding, you like you say, looking at all aspects. Being an author, whether you're going to be a coach, consultant, mentor, having the speaking opportunities, even platforms like this. Those things are very, very important, because you want to establish yourself as an expert in what you're doing. And if you don't know how to do certain things, you go to the other experts. That's where the coaching need a coach come in, because if they can support you and get you to where you need to be. So sometimes you're going to have some type of guidance, and
Yeah.
it's crazy because I don't care how successful you are. I've heard others. I mean, extremely successful talk about their coach.
Yeah.
So
I
it's all,
mean,
yeah.
consider this, right? Tiger Woods, the greatest golfer of our generation, has a coach.
Yeah.
And then think about this: Tiger Woods' golf coach is not better at golf than he is, right? Just think about that for a second. Somebody who is not as good as you is still able to help you, still able to serve you and support you and work with you in a way that elevates your game, right? Same thing with Serena Williams, same thing with Michael Jordan. Their coaches weren't better than them. If Michael Jordan played Phil Jackson one on one, he would kill him every time, 900 times out of 100, even though Phil Jackson was a pro. But how does that happen? He doesn't have to be better than him what he does. He just needs to be able to see the possibility for this athlete. And I'm using athletics because that's one of the easiest ways to relate with coaching. But when it comes to working with business owners, when I work with executives and leaders and entrepreneurs, my job is not to my job is to draw out their brilliance. My job is just to help them see the thing that they can't see, their blind spot, that thing that is, they're like, man, why isn't this working? Why can't I do this? And I just have the ego view. I'm like, oh, that's why. Now, my job is not necessarily, sometimes it could be telling them why, but most times it's like, I want to walk them through a space where they figure it out for themselves. Because once it's not about being told what to do, right? The best lessons are never taught, they're caught. And once they catch it, they own it. They recognize, like, oh my goodness, now I see. Yes, now
And
you
that's the
see.
thing too, with others who thinking about this, and they feel that if I get a coach, that means that I'm not on my game. That, as you heard Mr.
Mm,
Alex say, that does not mean that you're doing anything any less than what they're doing. What they're doing
yeah.
is that they have the opportunity to sit back and observe and pull the best out of you. So
Yes.
again, never be afraid of having a coach. Never be afraid of having that support. Just like with the speaking opportunity, you're they may have top-notch speaking opportunities and experience and everything. But you're able to sit back and to see where we can improve. Not that
Yeah.
you're any less or any better, but just the fact that you're looking at it from a different lens. So that's the
Yeah.
thing with coaches. We support each other. When it's in your face, a lot of times it looks so common. And that's why it's
Yeah.
good to be able to hear from someone that can pour into you, because we all want to make it. We all want to do our best. And I'm not even saying that there's a top, but we all want to grow and elevate. So however
Yeah.
that is. But we want to be able to grow and to elevate. So we have to be able to be teachable to get there. It's just like high school, you're in kindergarten, but you want to go to the first grade. Are you teachable? Eventually,
Mm,
you're just going to keep moving up.
right. It'd be ridiculous for someone to be like, "Hey, I'm in kindergarten. I want to go to college." Like, no, no, no. There's steps to take. You need to be able to learn how to read and write. Can you spell your name?
Right,
Can you do basic math? No, no, I want to go to college. Well, you're 6 year old. 6 year olds don't go to college unless you are some exceptional. You have an exceptional IQ, right? There's steps. There's levels to it, and the same thing applies with coaching. I want to get here. I want to make this much money. I want to get this income goal. Okay, you can have that, but what I'm really focusing on is like who do you have to become to earn that? Because you can get the money right now. Like that's okay. We can do that. But are you going to be the kind of person that now blows that money in a weekend? Right? I love this distinction that Chris Rock talked about in the special. Right? There's a difference between being rich and wealthy. Rich, you
yes,
can a drug habit in a crazy summer can take your rich away, can take riches away really quickly. Wealth is something you could pass down. Wealth is generational. Wealth you can't get rid of.
right. And that's the thing, and that's why that is so important, to have that foundation of understanding who you are. And I know that people use mindset so much. I'm gonna find another word, something a little more creative, but that's why that mindset is so important, because you got to have the right foundation to build on. And I think that that's the foundation of wealth, because like you said, if you're out here just blowing your money because you got it, you're not building any wealth. So
Yeah,
where's your mindset? What have you been taught? What is it that you need to understand about money? So that may be something that you have to establish before you start making that kind of money. So all of
yeah,
that, so it's very important to really, really, really understand where you are and where you're trying to be. Get with a coach so that you are able to identify some of those weaknesses to make them stronger. And as you're identifying those weaknesses and making them stronger, you can be building on what you're already strong in. And eventually, you're going to be here, and it's all going to intertwine. And that's how you become successful. So it's not giving up one for the other. It really is really working, smart. You can have
yeah,
days where you're working on the mindset and motivation, and days where you're really working on the business techniques, and you're building business branding, and you're understanding the whole, SOP of things, all of that.
yeah, yeah. Your
That's the
brand
way
matters. Yeah, your
yeah,
brand
that's the way I see it.
is more than a logo. Is more than colors. It's like it's you. It's
Yes,
like what do I represent? What do I stand for? And when people can see that, and they're like, okay, I get it. Like it's easy, it's clear, and that's what our brand amplifier is all about. It's just helping you take what's in here and here and
you put it
using this to tell me what that is, and hopefully that leads me to do this to no.
exactly. Right. So that is that's the I say that's the wheel of success. Getting I ain't gonna say well what's the how can I put it? Because the wheels the wheel of success to keep it
Yeah,
going. Keep it
yeah.
going. Get it right here. Get the money
Yeah,
up. There you go again.
circulate wealth. That's the big
Yeah.
part.
That's yep.
Circulate the
That is
wealth.
doing the circle. So, but
Yes.
I want to thank you so much. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like we had a master class. I really do. I feel like so much was said, and I mean, when I was like I said, I knew that where we was going to take this. Oh, I had a desire where to take this after reading and seeing about you. But the most beautiful part of the interview, or I'm gonna say the most beautiful part, it was all good. This most beautiful surprise of the interview is being able to express spiritually, to bring God into the equation, to really talk about how to depend and lean on God through all. You know, He is the sustainer, and He's the one that gives us strength, and He's the one that equips us for this journey. So I just thank you for just even sharing your journey as a man of God, and pouring into us, not just, mindset wise, not just, business wise, but also spiritually. And I'm excited to really connect with you, to follow you, to really be able to support you and your upcoming book, and also really, see how the speaking opportunity can help us. Like I said
Yeah.
before, I'm new at this in a sense. I've been speaking, never did a keynote. So that may, you see what I'm saying? People can be
Yeah.
doing different things out there, really doing their thing, but there's always something else that you can grow into. Now
That's
that
right.
you've been speaking and doing certain things, now how about that keynote? What are you going to do about that keynote? So that's how
Yeah.
you grow. That's another level. So yeah, I'm taking heed. I really have been listening, taking heed. I've been learning some things. And like I said, I'm very honored to be able to even talk to you today and for you to share. And I will say again, yes, I am impressed with your website and with your services and everything. I know that's not the focal point, but that's just for me. I really am admirable, and I really think that when you were saying it doesn't matter your beginning. We've all had tough beginnings, and I haven't met anybody who has not had some weight of their childhood on them.
Mm-hmm.
But the opportunity to succeed and the opportunity to grow, to learn, to build, to achieve is right there. So, Mr. Alex Dumas, I'm saying it right now, Dumas,
Yeah. It's fine.
has poured into us, has shared, and his information is right down. It's Alex Dumas, no,
Yeah.
AlexDumasCoaching.com,
Coaching.com. Yeah.
and the BIP also OCCC.org. That is a membership, but it's take a look at the membership to see where you fit in with that. Look at the services to see what you can benefit from. But like I said before, every coach needs a coach. And if you're trying to expound on your brand and you're trying to grow your brand, then you might need to go in this direction. Talk to Mr. Dumas, and also check out the website. People can say anything, but when you look at the fruits of the labor, that is the key. So he has a lot to offer, and I know that if you go and you check out some of these things, you'll be just as impressed as I am. So on that note, you got anything that you want to leave with us uh, from this beautiful interview that we can take with us and grow from?
Um, no, I just want to acknowledge you and share my appreciation for what you're doing with this program and what this is gonna how this will help and serve whoever this watches this, whoever receives this message, and not just from my episode, not just because it's me, but the other ones that you've done, and show this as inspiration of, hey, someone who follows the calling, right? We get the divine downloads. God says, Millicent, you're supposed to be doing this. And maybe there was a time before you started the show, like, I don't want to do this. I don't know how to do this, God. Why are you doing this? And then you just took action. You decided, I'm going to create this program. I'm going to create this container and I'm going to express it onto the world. So for you being someone who's a difference maker, I appreciate you and acknowledge you for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I received that, and I just, yeah, thank you so much. That did a lot for me today. So
You're welcome.
I just want to thank you and welcome to all the Kingsmen.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Stay blessed, kings. Stay blessed, queens.
Yes, stay blessed, Mr. Alex Dumas.